Hello, welcome back here into Caden's Weather Center. Right now, today is August 19, 2025. We're continuing to pay attention to the possibility here of Hurricane Erin impacting parts of the east coast here of the United States. We have tropical storm warnings continuing on out here in North Carolina and maybe even stretching over here into parts of Virginia Beach as well. We're continuing to pay attention to storm surge warnings also, as 4 feet of storm surge could be expected in some areas here of the Outer Banks. Mandatory evacuation still underway in the eastern part of North Carolina there, so we'll bring you the latest information on all of that and why this could be a danger to the East Coast. Well, jumping right in here to our, weather update right now, taking a look here currently at the United States, we can obviously see Kansas dealing with some pretty big showers and thunderstorms at this hour here that we could see. Some of this rainfall going to be reaching into the northeast here, and I will say that is a kind of a cold front coming down there, so that's going to bring some really nice temperatures over here to the northeast as the storm system kind of moves its way off down to the southeast. So that's also, kind of what could be steering this next system out in the Atlantic away from the United States, depending on the strength of the system, but we'll talk about that here in a little bit. Some rain showers continuing on over here in the Texas region, right near the Texas coast, as well as right off the coast here of Florida. We're seeing some rainfall as well, but it does seem like we have a couple severe thunderstorm warnings today. We can see one in Missouri, and I can see as of the recording of this video, it does look like the Miami area is just getting under a severe thunderstorm warning at this time. But right now, our main focus is obviously the National Hurricane Center, their updates, and Hurricane Erin that is mostly that we're going to be paying attention to very closely. So here's a look at the National Hurricane Center. As of the 2 p.m. advisory, we can still see we have these two areas of interest out here in the Atlantic, but our main focus is going to be Hurricane Erin in this video, as we know that it's getting closer to the east coast here of the United States, and that really could pose a threat here later down the road. But Hurricane Erin, expected to make that northern turn, has slowed down definitely, but the wind speeds also are not major hurricane force anymore. We're sitting at a Category 2 hurricane, but still expected to really grow in size here in the Atlantic. Now, the biggest thing is we were paying attention to this storm yesterday here in yesterday's video, where some of the models, GFS bringing it more off to the west, maybe even through the Caribbean. Majority of the models now bringing it out to sea, which is some good news there for the United States. Now, this system right over here, once it makes its way off to the west, it'll be heading into some kind of unfavorable conditions. Right now, it is kind of going through some gradual favorable conditions, but later on in the future, it's expected to kind of go through some unfavorable conditions, which will make it, kind of less likely of forming there. But definitely that tropical wave looking very healthy on this one. This is Invest 99L. Hurricane Erin, you can kind of see, is continuing to grow in size. A lot of the convection and a lot of the thunderstorms and activities on the eastern side here of Erin. So that's something to pay attention to as well, but we're expecting, obviously, once again, the storm just to grow in size as the more it goes to the north, and that's obviously what's going to be bringing the impacts here to the east coast here of the United States. Now, we have our other tropical wave that's kind of sitting over here. That's going to be moving off to the northwest, and then we'll eventually kind of get pulled out to sea here, as we're going to be having a trough kind of come down. That's kind of going to block the system here from going any more west, depending on obviously the intensity of the storm. More of a stronger storm could definitely go more to the north. If it's a weaker storm, it could possibly go off to the west, but right now all models are kind of saying of a little bit more of a northern turn here, and not too strong of a system there, maybe a hurricane, but we'll get later into that as well. But here's Hurricane Erin looking very impressive here on satellite. Not a clear eye, I will say, but still, once again, we can clearly see he's starting to make that northern turn there. Taking a look at the tropical wave, you kind of can see that, and you have the low pressure system that is continuing off of the west coast of Africa. So Varigo is paying attention to that. These two areas of interest right here, I would say, depending on the track, obviously, if this tropical wave goes through where Erin's going through, the environment's not going to be as healthy for this tropical wave than maybe possibly the next one that could go through it. It's going to take a couple weeks probably for, where Hurricane Erin just went, to kind of get all that energy back up for any hurricanes right now. Now, I do know that any system right now that goes into the Gulf, like, this specific region right here, very warm waters and everything like that. We haven't had a system really in the Gulf. We had, Invest 98L in the Gulf, but really didn't form. But, right now here, we've seen some water temperatures really starting to get warm off the coast here of even Florida and even into Texas. So we'll go over that in a little bit. But any hurricane that gets in the Gulf could definitely be a concern. But right now, we're obviously not expecting that at this time. A lot of convection kind of blowing up this morning here on the northern side of Erin's eye wall here. We can kind of see, once again, all the storms and everything is mostly on the eastern side of this storm here. We're expecting that to obviously once again grow in strength, and that could possibly kind of maybe wrap itself around once again, but we're going to continue to pay attention to that very, very closely. Now, tropical storm conditions still on the western side, even though there's not much rainfall going on at this time, or I mean, not a lot of big cloud tops going on at that time with a lot of that convection, but tropical storm warnings and tropical storm watches also stretching all the way from the Outer Banks of North Carolina into parts of even southern Virginia there, depending on where the storm goes. If it goes more off to the west here, we'll see a little bit more impacts here for the North Carolina and Virginia coast. And I wouldn't be surprised if we see a little bit more of a westward kind of track here for Hurricane Erin. We'll see those tropical storm warnings be issued here for parts of the southern Virginia coast. Now, I will say we're starting to see that more northern turn, north-northwest now. As over the last couple days, we've been seeing it west-northwest, northwest here. Now we're starting to see that more northern turn here, and that's expected to kind of make its way over here to the north, and then we'll race off to the northeast here as we head into maybe later this week, and we're going to be seeing it as a tropical storm in that area right there, kind of in the North Atlantic. But right now, even though the storm is not impacting anyone, we know that there's still going to be some impacts. So if it's not directly making that landfall or anything, that doesn't mean that you're not going to feel impacts. And that is exactly why the National Hurricane Center is definitely putting out tropical storm warnings, because we know that this wind field is getting ready to grow right now with Hurricane Erin as it continues to move off to the north. Now, obviously, storm surge, very big concern here. 2 to 4 feet in this yellow area stretching from Duck all the way to Cape Lookout here. We could see that. You can see the rivers continuing on 1 to 3 feet right here. You can see even into South Carolina, South Sanity River, 1 to 3 feet of storm surge, even going up into parts of the Virginia Beach as well. And we're kind of seeing that continuing on. And, you know, it's not just those specific states. It's also the east coast of Florida that's feeling it definitely today here. And we're really going to be seeing it going in through Delaware and New Jersey and maybe even Connecticut and Rhode Island as well. As you head into tomorrow, we're kind of just seeing the same thing. We're expecting the system kind of just to, as it continues to move off to the north, more of that wave action will head into the east coast here and bringing up a lot of those rip current threats. So right now, maybe not the safest day to go to these beaches at all if you live on the East Coast and you're planning on going to a beach. Definitely not the safest. But I would say in about the 96-hour mark, so in about 4 days, we could be seeing these, waves starting to go down a little bit. So that would be a little bit of a better chance of going to the beach. But you can clearly see very good confidence. It's just going to continue between Bermuda here in the United States. No westward track anyways right now. So I know, when we were first starting to track the storm, very spread out with these models. Now, I do want to bring this up, though, because we can clearly see some of these models do bring it up back to Category 3 strength. Now, that doesn't include the National Hurricane Center, but the GFS model and maybe even the UK model bringing it up once again into Category 3 strength here over maybe the next 24 hours, maybe even heading into early tonight, and then we'll continue to drop down as it heads into more of those cooler waters. But we can still not rule out a major hurricane forming once again. And the one reason for that is just those water temperatures. Those water temperatures are very, very warm in this general area on where Hurricane Erin is continuing. Once you kind of get into the Virginia coast here, that's when you start to see those waters really starting to kind of cool down a lot, where Hurricane Erin would definitely not appreciate all of that. But you can clearly see where he's sitting at right now. Very, very warm waters at this time. Now, for the next tropical waves that we're continuing to pay attention to, anything that gets into the Gulf, look how warm the Gulf is right there. We can clearly see that is major, water temperatures that hurricanes would absolutely love to be in, and that could lead a big concern here for the future. So any system, even if it's this one or if it's even, this one, even though this one's most likely going to be heading out to sea, if this system right over here goes into the Caribbean, very, very warm waters. No storm has been through the Caribbean. So that gives it some pretty good possibilities of possibly rapidly intensifying in there. But then you take a look at the Gulf. I mean, that is very, very warm waters for that. Now, I'm not saying it's going to be this tropical system or even this one. It's too far out to know. This one, I would say we're most likely going to be seeing this one go out to sea. Now, the next tropical wave, we'll have to continue to pay attention to, obviously, what the steering currents are, but still, once again, too far to be out. Now, taking a look at the 7-day change here of the sea surface temperatures, we can obviously see very cooler waters here over here. This is due to Hurricane Erin, and that's why it's kind of going to be a little bit harder for a system to kind of follow his exact path and possibly rapidly intensify into like a major hurricane. A lot of those cooler waters, big, possibly even down maybe 3-4 degrees Celsius and parts of the Atlantic here, mostly kind of ranging between 1 to 2 degrees Celsius though, drop water temperature. Now, that could change as we go more to the east coast here, depending on where Erin goes. He's, kind of just moved all that water around, but you can see those water temperatures off the coast of Virginia here and North Carolina have gotten warmer over the last 7 days. But so probably in the next 7 days could change, but definitely the system going to get pulled to the north here, and that's something we're going to be paying attention to closely. But I would say with the next system, definitely not going to possibly rapidly intensify as strong as Erin did to a Category 5. So Take a look at the GFS. Let's take a look at that. We can see Hurricane Erin right there continuing to make its way off to the north, really starting to get close to the Carolinas there. We could clearly see that. And you kind of can see as it continues to move off to the northeast, could possibly bring some of that wave action, obviously, into the Carolinas and into Virginia as well. But, you know, those tropical storm conditions could really be right off those Outer Banks. And I think that's why we have that. And if we take a look at the winds, see if we can go to the East Coast here. Let's see. North Carolina's kind of in. There we go. So taking a look at the GFS, we can clearly see some of those winds could possibly get up into tropical storm force and even up to the gust as well up in Virginia as the storm continues to move off to its east. But once again, any little shift down to the west or a little wobble to the left could bring even more winds into the Outer Banks area and where we're seeing those tropical storm warnings. Now, no hurricane conditions are expected, which is good news, but continuing to pay attention to just in case of those tropical storm conditions as well, because we know tropical storm conditions could still bring some damage in some areas. Now we're not expecting too major rainfall as well. And I believe here, if we take a look right now from the European model, not any major rainfall. Maybe for the Outer Banks, we could be getting maybe 1 to 2 inches of rain, but really not too much for that. Our biggest concern, obviously, is Erin's very far out, but still our biggest concern is going to be that wave action that we're continuing to pay attention to. Now, let's take a look at the European ensembles or the probability here. What are we looking at? To at least a tropical depression. We obviously know Hurricane Erin above tropical depression, so that's a 100% chance right there. That will move off. But taking a look here at 72 to 120 hours out, we can clearly see another tropical system here right behind this one, and that's our orange area, expected to possibly get turned out to sea. And Bermuda is in that chances here of something possibly impacting you right there as it continues to move off to the north. So the big question obviously is Bermuda needs to pay attention to this tropical system here. And then we do have something over there in the southwestern Caribbean, but we don't want to really talk about that right now. It's too far out at that time. Let's hop into a little bit of the severe weather threat that we're continuing to pay attention to today. Marginal risk continuing on in the northern part of Montana and kind of a western part as well. But our main marginal risk here today is going to be in the central part of the United States, is what we said earlier in this video. Oklahoma and even into Kansas and Nebraska might have something right there. But really our main concern, Kansas, Oklahoma, Arkansas, Missouri, and we also have it into parts of the western Kentucky, Indiana, Illinois, and Ohio. You guys could be dealing with some of that scattered showers and thunderstorms, possibly getting up into that severe range. No tornado threat, but maybe a little bit of small wind threat continues on with that, and not really a hail threat as well either. But taking a look at this, you kind of can see later this afternoon, 5 p.m., we could be seeing some of the strong storms, the strongest of the storms of what we could be expecting here in parts of the Ohio area, kind of, just being scattered still, nothing too severe, it seems like. That's why there's a marginal risk and not, any major risk. But those will start to definitely dissipate as we head into around 12 a.m. tonight, and those will kind of push down to the south as well. Now, taking a look down here at the southeast, we can clearly see that we're paying attention to a little bit of those scattered showers, thunderstorms continuing on over here, stretching from Georgia into the Carolinas here. But also, our main focus would be in this general area for some severe weather. As we know, we have that marginal risk, and you can see very, very scattered thunderstorms kind of going through this area here as we head into more of the evening hours. So the storms that are going to continue up in Ohio are a little bit later or a little bit earlier in the evening time, while these are going to be a little bit later in the night hours there. There's Hurricane Erin as well. We're obviously paying attention to that. No rainfall going to be expected though from Hurricane Erin anywhere, but definitely, I will say, a lot of, sinking air could possibly be in Florida, and that could possibly bring in some thunderstorms here, even though Hurricane Erin is very far out from the coast. But, you kind of can see some of these scattered showers, thunderstorms kind of wanting to make its way into Florida. That could be because of Hurricane Erin there. Kind of just the environment that it kind of brings right there, but nothing major, no hurricane, tropical storm force winds or anything like that. So nothing to worry about when it comes to that at all. But thank you so much for watching this video. Make sure that, if you do like watching weather content, you like getting updates, make sure you're following your National Weather Service as well as the National Hurricane Center for hurricane season, especially if you live, somewhere that could get a hurricane. Make sure you're following the National Hurricane Center updates here. We still have until November 30th for the end of hurricane season. But thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe if you did enjoy this weather content today, or this weather update, to give you guys the information that I am trying my best to give you guys. But thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure to follow my X page down in the description, as well as my new TikTok page that I also have down in the description. Make sure you guys follow that, and just make sure if you have any questions about any of the weather weather, make sure to leave it down in the comments and I will respond as quickly as possible. But thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys all have a great rest of your day. Stay safe and bye-bye.